All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be breaking down round one here of the Sony Open, giving you guys my favorite bets and picks here. So we're going to be talking about kind of the Showdown coverage, round one Showdown picks, which you can also use for some best ball drafts on Underdog. That goes hand in hand. Also going to be covering my favorite round one bets for PrizePicks and Underdog, but also touching on the best bets for ThreeBall Bets and matchup bets as well. With that, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, guys, let's go ahead and start off here with the PrizePicks and Underdog best bets that we are currently getting. So a few of the better bets that we are getting right now is actually looking at Charlie Hoffman, Zach Johnson, and Brent Snedeker to get their over birdies or better. Now, it's good for you guys to know kind of what goes into this measure. One of the nice things about the 9-to-5 tools is you can see the data breakdown of kind of what's going into the projection and everything here. So let's just explain this. So we can see that the average birdies or better made on this course typically is about 3.8. That shouldn't change this in round one because the weather is projected to be pretty calm, at least for round one, which is nice to see. And so then we go here. Okay, we're going to see that Charlie Hoffman has a projection of 4.2. Well, what goes into that projection? Part of that is going to be what the player averaged last year. So we're seeing about 4.0, and this is going to be adjusted for this tournament, guys, how this tournament typically plays. We see the group average. So the group average is just going to be taking all the players in which we are currently getting prop bets for on PrizePicks and Underdog and creating a group average there. And so we can see both PrizePicks and Underdog are giving us these lines here for these three golfers at 3.5. Okay, and so the projection is taking into account kind of everything, every piece of that. So it's taking his difference between other players' averages. So his is typically a little bit higher, and then it's taking the group average and then comparing what he typically averages against that to be able to create a projection for us. Thus, we're able to create an edge there. And so his edge is about 54 or 57%, which is a little bit too high. I would say probably a little bit lower, but I could get on board with him getting 4 birdies. Now, it'll probably be a sweat, right? We'll probably have 5 opportunities, like good opportunities, and we need him to convert all of those. Same thing with Zach Johnson and Brent Snedeker. Now, I'm not as high on those ones. I just don't really like those ones as much. Now, it is worth calling out. We have some interesting birdie or better ones. So we got Keegan Bradley to score more birdies than Vincent Norman. Just looking at it, guys, Keegan Bradley's one of the best plays on the board this week compared to Vincent Norman, who's not really one of the better plays. Another interesting one is Hun An to have his birdies or better over Denny McCarthy. That's one that I don't mind. Okay, so we have some decent little edges there. If we go down a little bit further, we can see maybe fairways hit, where we're doing Maverick McNeely to hit over 7.5 fairways hit. We are seeing Robert McIntyre has a decent chance to probably be a push here for his under 8 fairways hit. Chances are it's going to be more difficult for him to get to 8 fairways hit. We see on average, this tournament yields about 8 fairways hit. And so to get that extra fairway, it's a little bit less likely. So those are all pretty decent ones. Now, one of the best ways to go about betting on PrizePicks or Underdog, specifically with golf, is trying to find these prop line differences. And so this is certainly worth calling out, guys. Okay, we are getting a few bets here where we are getting some prop line differences, which really shouldn't be happening. So let's look at Webb Simpson, for example. He's a guy that had typically played this course pretty well in the past, but we're seeing his strokes prop here at 69.5. That is 1 under. Can Webb Simpson get to 1 under par? Now, we do see the scoring average, guys, is about 68.82, and this is a par 70. So, a little bit better than 1 under par. So do we believe Webb Simpson can do that? I don't hate that. That's not terrible. Whereas when we get to, let's say, Keegan Bradley, we could potentially be betting his under 67.5 on PrizePicks. That's a decent bet. We have Sepp Straka on Underdog there for Keegan Bradley. We see Sepp Straka here. We could be betting his under of 68 on Underdog there as well. It seems like to me probably a slightly better edge there on Underdog, but we do see like EVR and Webb Simpson. We could potentially be doing their understrokes here on PrizePicks. It is worth calling out some of these matchup ones as well. I don't hate these ones. Like we got Russell Henley over birdies or better against Cameron Davis. I really don't think anyone would be doubting that. Like, yeah, we'd be favoring Russell Henley there. The issue with these ones is they typically just end up being pushes, which is a little bit annoying. I'd rather just be strokes, but not a terrible one there. And then, yeah, let's just take another look at some of those bets here, guys. So, yeah, EVR, obviously we'd want to if we're not betting on his under on PrizePicks, we'd be wanting to bet his over on Underdog. That's a decent edge there. But now, guys, let's go ahead and take a peek at which golfers we could be looking at potentially for first round leader bets here in round one. Now, typically speaking, I like to target the golfers that do have the early AMT times, specifically for first round leader. Now, that being said, this time around for this specific event, I don't really think we're getting a massive early advantage or late advantage at all. So you don't necessarily have to do that, but this is something I typically do. Let's add the rank in here, and I just want to sort it by that first round leader rank. And this is for round one. So what we're going to notice here is that some of the better maybe first round leader bets that we would want to be on do not exactly have that early tee time. So what we could be looking at, though, is Keegan Bradley, Taylor Pendrith, Harry Hall, Robert McIntyre, Austin Eckroat, and then Benny Ann, if we want to go that far. Typically speaking, whether it be outright bets or first-round leader bets, I'm trying to reduce my bet slip for that thing specifically to about 5% of the field. So it would be Hun and up. And we can see, guys, we're getting pretty darn good bets here. Okay, 40-1 at least is the shortest odds that we're getting. So pretty good odds there by doing it that way. So not terrible bets there. Let's go ahead and jump on into the next segment of this. So we're going to take a peek at round 1 showdown ranks, which is basically going to be the exact same as what I just kind of showed you guys there. But we're just going to sort by showdown rank here. Okay, so this is kind of who we should be prioritizing in round 1. We see Corey Connors, Russell Henley, Hideki. So a lot of people I noticed on Underdog Best Ball drafts, they have it Hideki first and then Connors and Henley. So probably a slight edge there. Okay, now it might not be like, could end up being the same, could end up being push Hideki, could end up playing, but if we can get that slight like ADP edge on something like Underdog, and if you guys are confused what I'm talking about, on Underdog, you can do these various drafts, okay, and they're best ball drafts. It operates basically the exact same as Showdown. I typically like to target Showdowns a little bit more. Round 2, that's when I think we're getting a big edge, but I'm testing this out a little bit more here, and the same plays that we'd be on for Showdown are going to be the same plays that we'd be on for the best ball draft. So I want to talk about that. But we see here, guys, really no surprises. All the golfers that we typically already targeting for the full slate are going to be these golfers that we're seeing right now. And so I really don't mind these. I do want to show you guys what the lineup builder is telling us to do here. And so if you guys are familiar with this, you already know we need to give it 2 data points to go off of here. So I'm just going to round up with a couple golfers here, and I'll just show you guys kind of what the optimal build is kind of looking like here for round 1. And let's go ahead and zoom in here so you guys can see it. And what we're going to notice here is we got Corey Connors, Harry Hall, Davis Thompson, Mackenzie Hughes, Billy Horschel. It might be a little bit too high for Billy Horschel. I don't know if I exactly love that. But then we also have Seamus Power popping up in there as well. The 9-to-5 data does like Seamus Power a decent amount. I don't know if I'm necessarily there as much, but we're seeing that. But I do think it's worth calling out. We are getting a decent amount of different kind of lineup paths, at least for the most part. Like the next lineup, we go Corey Connors, Luke Clanton, Harry Hall. So some overlapping there. Davis Thompson, Seamus Power, but Rico Hoey. So we are getting a decent amount of little bit of differences there. So we are getting some pretty good builds. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into some 3-ball bets. Now, guys, these are taking in the average odds that we are getting for that 3-ball bet group. It might differ between each site. Some sites might not be offering said bet. Okay, I have to break it down this way. Just it's a little bit easier for data or presenting the data there for you guys. So what we're seeing here, these are the bet odds. So for Luke Clanton to win, which is the best bet on the board, 48%. This is to bet or tie. Okay, so I don't mind these ones. 2.35 to 1, which is pretty good odds. We can see the adjustment for that. This is going to be the bet odds percent. So 0.3%, 30% there. So basically, we're valuing him much higher there. Obviously, that'd be a bet that we would want to target. Obviously, that's an 18% difference. We can see the reason as to why Luke Clanton is going to be one of the better golfers in the field this week. Typically speaking, what I want to do with 3-ball bets is bet these golfers that have a 40% or better likelihood to win or tie their group. Obviously, we're getting some pretty darn good bets here. This is last week I mentioned on the main video that we were able to benefit or profit plus 4 units on the week. That was without hitting an outright winner or first round leader, which is pretty darn good. This was the biggest reason as to why we're these 3-ball bets. Now, it's not to say that that's going to be the case again this week. That's not to say we're going to have a massive week this week. We can end up losing some money. But the point is, with the 9-to-5 data, we are really gaining an edge long term. All right, we have the tournament data. We know what stats to be looking at each and every week for the courses that we have seen for sure. And that data is built off of each other. So for 3-ball bets, we already have that data here. We're just taking a step further and applying it for round 1 compared to these players that they're going against. So we see Andrew Novak here. I don't mind Sam Stevens, guys, but James Hahn, that's decent about. Maverick McNeely, this is probably one of my favorite ones. Matt McCarty did play last week. Billy Horschel did play last week, but Maverick McNeely, good play here. He ranks out definitely better. Tom Hoagie is a decent one there as well. That's actually pretty darn good. 2.81, that's a pretty good payout as well. That's interesting there. Harry Hall, that's a decent one there. So Seamus Power, I mentioned the 9-to-5 data likes it a decent amount. I would assume here, I would assume that Harry Hall and Seamus Power are both very likely to win here. So you guys can see here. So 9-to-5 data only given Snedeker about 22% chance to win, which is actually a little bit higher than what the odds are suggesting there. So interesting there. A little bit of an edge there. But we got plenty of good bets here. If you guys want to pause and kind of take a peek at maybe which ones you want to target, Rico Hoy is the one that pays out pretty well. Corey Connors to win his one. I'll keep track of this, and I'll come back to this just to see how many of these bets that were 40% likely or better to hit actually do end up hitting. And then lastly, guys, let's just go ahead and get into some round bets. Are we getting any good round bets here, specifically for kind of U.S. markets? I'm assuming most people are coming here from the U.S., mostly playing DraftKings or FanDuel. And so let's pull those odds in there. Are we getting any EV bets? And so the way that we look for EV bets is just sort by this sportsbook edge percent. And so this is taking the average odds that we're getting maybe for those players. We're not always getting the same matchup bets, so we might not always get this. But here we are, okay? Now, we're getting Tom Hoagie to beat Billy Horschel, okay? The DraftKings line is off by 1.26%, seemingly a decent bet. Now, when we adjust it for the odds that we're getting, the 9-to-5 data actually doesn't like this. So this could be a little bit confusing. What we're doing here, if we're just looking to gain an edge based off of the Vegas lines that we're getting, we can just sort it by the sportsbook edge. But what I want to do is I kind of want the double verification with the bet, comparing it against the 9-to-5 data. And so when we can find another bet where we're being told to do that exact same bet, and it's a good bet, I want to find that. Now, it's not like, it's basically a push with the 9-to-5 data is what I'm seeing here. But like this bet here, Kurt Kitayama losing to C Tagala, is a decent bet. And so the DraftKings line that we're getting here is not off by much. It's not off at all. Okay, 0%. So yeah, we got two good EV bets, okay, that are pushes there. So Tom Hoagie to beat Billy Horschel. Then we got Ben Griffin to beat Denny McCarthy. Those are two good EV bets. Again, the 9-to-5 data, no difference there. So we could go with those. So -115, -110. And then we go here. So the 9-to-5 data does like Kurt Kitayama to lose to Saeed Tagala. And so you can bet on Tagala there at -115. Not a bad bet. Let's just sort it by that 9-to-5 edge. Are we getting any really good bets here? Eric Cole losing to Nico Echeverria. Not a bad bet. So we can get Nico to win at -105 on DraftKings. We're getting there. Not a bad bet. We got Eric Cole on both sides there. So we can get that on FanDuel and DraftKings. Very nice. Then we can do Ben Griffin beating Denny McCarthy at -110, another seemingly good bet. Now, guys, last week we got a pretty easy bet just for the tournament. I do want to see if we are getting any of those. It was Patrick Cantlay over Justin Thomas. Felt like one of those bets that we should just be hammering. One, the 9-to-5 data tag was telling us to do it, but also the Vegas data was also telling us that it was wrong. And so we were able to get like Patrick Cantlay to win at like +110, I think it was. It was like insane. I'm like, how are we getting? Like, he should be the heavy favorite here. It was strange. But anyways, let's see if we are getting any of those. So here we go. Now, I don't exactly like this one. Chris Kirk losing to Brian Harman. I mean, I don't need to get there. Are there any where they match up here? Okay, Corey Connors beating Hideki in this one. So we get Corey Connors at +120. I mean, that's crazy. Corey Connors ranks out better this week. Hideki's coming in off of a win. Corey Connors has better course history, a little bit better stat fit, and relatively speaking, as a whole, better form. We can get him at +120 on DraftKings. And we can see the DraftKings line here, guys, is almost off by 1%. And that might not be a lot, but that's going to add up in the long term. Now, the 9-to-5 data, more or less giving it a push there at the odds that's currently at. Okay, 0% difference with the edge there. This might be confusing, but this is a solid little bet that we have here. Another one, Harris English beating Thomas Dietrich -110. So the 9-to-5 data agrees with this. And again, 0%. So nothing too crazy there. But another decent bet there. So we are getting several of decent, good tournament bets there as well. Now, guys, that's going to do it. I don't want to get too deep into all the little details and bets that we can get into. If you guys want access to more of that data, maybe find some more bets that you guys like, maybe sort by the best bets for a player that you might like, I don't know, just 9to5sports.com. You guys can get access to all the fantasy golf tools for an insane value of just $10 a month. Take advantage of that, guys. Honestly, if you're not taking advantage of that, why are you even placing bets? That's going to do it here, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys like the round coverage that I just gave to you guys, let me know in the comment section below as well. That does help out the channel a decent amount. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck with all your bets. And as always, let's keep cashing.